Okay, first up, a massive well done to all of you guys who managed to hand in your best photos. We've made a really good gallery here. I'm really proud of what you guys have managed to do, and I think that you've been really creative given the circumstances. As you can see, there's so many different kinds of results there, different uses of colour, really nice black and white conversions, interesting perspective, unusual subject matter. So you guys have done really well and you should be really proud. Well done. In this week, you're basically having a review week. So we are going to do an evaluation of your quarantine project, and then we're also going to review an exhibition and some degree show stuff as well. This is because you need to do something that's beyond just looking at Pinterest. You need to show some real results. So, quick recap. You've done your Pinterest board and you've put the link underneath. You've done your project mind map and you've put your link underneath. That's also fine if you've done it in your sketchbook and there's a picture there. This I've put in highlighted text because not everybody has done this. Make sure once you've done your board that you also say the 6 ideas that you want to follow up on and what you'll need. Then you should have screenshots, however you've taken them, and your 2 best edits and your originals for each idea. Something else here that people are missing is showing something that you've tried but that might have been unsuccessful. So a photo maybe where it's too dark or it's blurry or it's not come out the way that you wanted, because that you actually get marks for as well, showing how you've overcome things like that. So what I've actually asked you guys to do is answer a number of questions that I've listed here. So which of your 6 ideas gave you the best results and why? What about them was effective? And explaining your choice of your best image there. Also telling me a little bit about what was unsuccessful and why. Any problems that you had and how you overcame them. Things that you've learned that you didn't know before, and then also reflecting on it as a whole. So what ideas would you like to follow up on? What ideas do they give you for the future? It might be that there's like a common theme between them. It might be that there's subject matter that work better for you than others, and it might be something that you're interested enough in to carry it forward into a whole project. Then, just like we looked at the start, I want you guys to look at this Pinterest board and choose your favourite image. They're all completely anonymous, and then all you guys need to do is click on it to make it a bit larger, and you can save the image to your device, or you could screenshot it if you're looking on your phone or something like that. And I want you to tell me why it's your favourite, and then also thinking back to the board as a whole, the ideas that you've got from looking at all of those different results as well. Because there might be some cool ideas there that you didn't think of or you didn't try, but you might like to follow up on. So in my example document, I've done like an example evaluation. So explaining best results. I've imagined that this one's my best outcome and I've said why. I've said about things that weren't successful. I've said about problems. I've also said about like the kind of things that you might have learnt from it. And then there's my example of like my favourite one and what I've thought about that. And then lastly, just kind of like the other ideas that you've got, and list the examples, say how you could maybe use them to start a project or come up with a theme. So next, you actually do a review of MMU Degree Show. So were it not for coronavirus, this would really happen, and we would actually be able to go and visit it, and it's something that we do every year. So obviously we can't physically go because it's not on, but luckily for you guys, there's lots of resources on the internet. So with this link here, when you follow it through, it takes you to examples of all the degree shows that have passed, so 19, 18, 17, 16. So let's, for argument's sake, go on to this one. So this was from 2018, and instead of just looking at everything generally, if you go to view work, and then we want to pick photography because that's going to obviously be best for you guys. And then there's lots of different examples of the people who graduated there, but let's have a look at one. Okay, so Daisy Southern, and it tells you about their practice here as well. So there's extra information there that you can use. So if you really like an image, you can scroll through and you can click on one and it becomes full screen, and you could screenshot that, or you could save the image and you could put that into your document. So what I want you guys to do is to screenshot 4 that you like and say why, and then choose 1 that you can review using your Oreo questions like we would normally do. So in my example research one here, I've said that these photographs really caught my eye, and I've said that it's because of interesting light, contrast and colour to create atmosphere. So they were 4 that I found in like the different example years that I thought were interesting. And then this would be my one that I'd chosen to do my in-depth about. So you'd be using all of the questions on your Oreo analysis sheet, like you guys already know how to do. And what's really helpful is they've got this information here that tells you about their work. So when I found this person, Sophie Foden Pattinson, she said about her work, through the use of flora removed from its natural environment, I have constructed sets reminiscent of theatre. So I was looking at this image and thinking about what I could see within that related to her meaning. So I said that it does remind me of a stage, there's lighting there, but I think it looks more like the end of a show, so where things are left behind, maybe the lights are turned down low because the people have left. There's like plastic on the side there that catches the light. Also sometimes at the end of a show, like people might throw like flowers onto the stage, that kind of thing. So I've got a little bit about there that I could say about the meaning, but obviously I would have answered all of my other Oreo questions first. So 4 that you just really like with an introduction to say why, and then 1 that you've chosen for your in-depth. Then something else that we've got is a review of Paris Photo. So where I actually found this was on the ID website, because quite often I read the photography articles on there. So if you guys want to do photography at uni, and because you've got loads of time at home at the moment, this is a really good place to go. So if you go on the ID website, so it's usually like a magazine, a print publication, and they have a photography section, and there's loads of really interesting articles. A lot of them are about people working under remote conditions, but I found this here. So the idea that you can actually see Paris Photo from your like couch or from in your bedroom or whatever like that, because the show can't actually be put on in New York, because in New York as well. So it's one of the biggest photographic shows globally, and it moves to those 2 different locations. So what they've actually done is they've put the catalogue online. So this is not something you'd usually have access to. So if you follow that link there, it will take you to the catalogue. So these are all of the sort of stands or exhibitors that would be there. And what's really good about it is, like it says, it's from 173 galleries and publishers. So it really is bringing like the photographic world together in one place. But also, it doesn't just look at the now. There's lots of historical work in there, which is really quite interesting as well. So the same as you would have done for MMU, make sure that you do 4 that you like, and then 1 favourite using Oreo analysis. So just for example, let's click on this one here. It will tell you here, so quite often that this is the gallery that's representing it, but you'll find here the more information about it that you could copy and paste and take through. So these are from 1985, and they're a kind of Polaroid inkjet print. I think that's actually really beautiful. It almost looks like a little bit like a painting. There's some really interesting images in that set actually. So what you have to basically do is there's 2 big chunks of pages. It appears more like a list if you're looking at it on your phone rather than a grid like this. But you basically click through and find examples within it that you like. So there's lots of like really different ones depending on the gallery that's picked it or the publication that's put it into a magazine or a book. Some of them have manual techniques as part of it, and that might interest you guys in terms of presentation methods. But really, you just got to find 4 that interest you and 1 that you want to write about, 1 you feel confident saying something about, and that runs across 2 pages. So there's like 2 example sort of sets that you can look at there. And all you have to do is kind of choose the areas where you think, oh, that looks interesting, I'm going to click through. So this one's caught my eye. And then, again, just like before, you can click on them make them larger to screenshot them. And also sometimes there's like a little bit of information about the gallery or about the collection or something like that. It's totally fine if you want it as part of like an interesting presentation method, or if it's part of maybe the sort of publication itself and how that's laid out in terms of it being in like a book or something like that. That's totally cool. So what I'm asking you guys to do is, same as last time, have your 4 that you like and 1 that you write about in depth in here. So the best way that I've put them together was I was just putting them together in a PowerPoint. So there's that one that I was looking at there. Let's find another one that I like. There's some really nice images within this set. I did like this one actually. So I could take this one out now. So I'm working on my computer, so I'm just going to screenshot that out. And it says that this is kind of focusing on photography and contemporary art, but it's in Latin America. And I think that this image is really interesting because it's almost like a dream, in the sense that that could be like some sort of crazy like angel wing or something like that. So I think it's really interesting to look at. And then I'm just putting it together in PowerPoint because I think that it's easy to move things around. So all I'm doing is making it so that they're like a little block of images together. And then what I can do is I can actually screenshot that, and then I can take that into my Google Doc really easily. So if I go back to my example, I've left a gap there. So I can go insert image, upload from my computer, and it's that screenshot that I've taken there. So they're like my 4. So with that, it's really good because it places it and it centralises it. Here, can you see I've got the text next to it? You can set it so that it wraps the text around it as well. So that's a good way for when you get to like your in-depths. Maybe I'll bump that onto a next page. So I could go insert, break, and page break, and then that'll just bump that down and make that look nice for me. So there's my other one there that I've chosen for an in-depth, and I've got my quote there and I've said how it works. The next thing would obviously be your next steps. That's looking a bit squiffy as well. So if I go insert and break and page break, I could have my next steps there where I would actually compare and contrast the two. So one from MMU that I've done in depth, and then one from Paris Photo there. And I would say the similarities and differences and ideas that I could take from them, or what you'd need to work in that style in your own work. So I think that's like the best kind of way that you work in there. And then basically it's just personal choice, things that you're really excited about, that you want to write about, and then all of my examples are in here. In terms of how to set it out, I've been doing these as headings or subheadings, and then you actually get them in that list at the side there. So like on my MMU degree show one there, I made this a heading 1, like that. And then I made this a heading 2. And then that's how I kind of got it, as that like little indented version there. And that really helps you to be able to get back to ideas and to set things out as well. So what I'm after from you guys is to have everything up to date, have your evaluation, and then your degree show and Paris Photo review. And in my document here is my example booklet that you guys can work through. Because I want you to use the Oreo analysis sheet, I've put this in there as well. And remember, like we were talking about in previous videos, you want this to be really high quality. This is not the first time that you have written about something using that Oreo help sheet. You should be really expert at that as well by now, and you can really demonstrate that level of skill that you have. So it's making sure that you discuss all of those things, making sure that you ask those questions, that you give more detail, that you give your own opinion, and really don't forget about that next steps as well, because that's what pushes you into that higher grade bracket, and it gives you a better grade for your research overall.